So, considering I didn't really want to watch anything else that was in theaters right now, I figured I would check out this new movie, Slingshot. I saw a couple, previews of it on Instagram and stuff. There wasn't that much promotion around about it, it seems. But I'm assuming that's because it stars Casey Affleck and not Ben Affleck. If it was Ben Affleck, people would probably be like, "Oh man, look at it, Ben Affleck." But no one cares about his brother, unfortunately. But it also starred Lawrence Fishburne and Tomer Capone, the guy that plays Frenchie in The Boys. So I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! It's good to see him in other things." And sci-fi horror definitely seems like a good avenue that he could, be in. And then Lawrence Fishburne, of course, was in Event Horizon. So anything that he's in space, I'm just kind of down. And just from watching the trailer, it kind of reminded me of that movie Pandorum. If you've ever seen it, if you've never seen Pandorum, definitely watch Pandorum. But yeah, it was an awesome movie. I mean, wow, like 2 out of 2. Strange Darling was fantastic, had a one hell of a twist. And now this movie, Slingshot, is just as good with just as crazy of a twist, right? So it follows these scientists on board this ship called the Odyssey, and they're headed out to Saturn, one of Saturn's moons, Titan, to collect resources to bring back to Earth. And they're using this method called the slingshot, right? They have to make it out to Jupiter's orbit and use Jupiter's gravity to kind of slingshot them across over to Saturn, and it'll put them right, at Titan. The ship's definitely going to take a few years, so they have to go into hibernation. They have to do these hibernated sleep cycles, however long that they're asleep for, whether it be a year, months, however long. The drugs can have some side effects where it causes anxiety or hallucinations or, not being able to think right. I mean, whatever it may be, going under for that long may have some side effects. So the film follows the crew pretty much dealing with deep space anxiety. But after one of their sleep cycles, Casey Affleck's character, John, ends up seeing the ship get damaged, in a sense. Like, it gets damaged from the outside. Something hits the ship, probably an asteroid or some type of debris damages the ship. And so the crew is worried if, are they going to be able to make it to Titan? Will the ship not make it? Should they turn around and head back home? And Lawrence Fishburne, he plays Captain Frank, and he's like, no, we have to complete the mission. We have to go forward. If we don't, like, we're going to, be the laughing stock. This isn't our money. This isn't our expedition. Like, we need to follow through. And then Nash, played by Tomer Capone, he's on the other end. He's like, no, we should go home. The ship probably can't make it. Like, he's not trying to die in space. So there's got to be some way that they can, come to an agreement to either finish or abort the mission. But Casey, his character John, he just doesn't really care, right? He's not really good with people. He's kind of a loner, and he doesn't really, have much to say. He doesn't really want to choose a side. And, if he chooses Nash's side, the ship is kind of damaged, but, maybe we should, turn back. But also, he's for the captain. If the captain says that we have to go forward, then we should go forward, because he's not trying to, start up a mutiny. One thing leads to another, and the captain ends up taking matters into his own hands and kind of, threatens to detain, both of them if they don't proceed forward with the mission. And it just gets wild. I mean, it is definitely a Pandorum-esque story, and, minus all the zombies and stuff and the creatures. It's definitely a Pandorum-esque story with the way that the twist happens later. But it's like, as the film progresses, you start to wonder if any of the crew, like how much of the crew is even real, who's hallucinating who, and who's actually saying what's real. And it is just awesome, right? And it kind of goes back and forth to them on the ship, and John, who falls in love with this girl Zoe back on Earth, and she's actually one of the scientists and engineers who helped develop the ship and put that plan in motion. And even she is worried that it might be like a one-way trip, because if it fails, he could die. So she didn't even want him to go on the journey in the first place. But he was so headstrong with going on this space expedition that he just didn't care, and he kind of threw their love out the window. And it's so sad. I mean, it's actually a genuinely good, heartfelt thriller, like sci-fi thriller, It kind of also reminded me of Spaceman, that movie that came out earlier in the year with Adam Sandler and Paul Dano playing that giant spider. I mean, it was very similar to that, guy who's bland, boring, just like a nobody, falls in love with the most beautiful, amazing woman, only to like leave her because he's such a loner and he'd rather go up to outer space. Like it's very similar, but I would say Slingshot was way better than Spaceman because obviously it had a bigger cast, and Lawrence Fishburne really commands the screen every time he's on. I mean, he's just so chill. It's just really good. Like it was genuinely an awesome movie, and the twist, oh my gosh, like the twist was fantastic. I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, it's just, let's just say this was actually a one-man mission all along. It's pretty good. Like it's pretty damn good. So I would definitely suggest to watch Slingshot. It's probably going to be on streaming sooner than later because there weren't that many promotional aspects that came out of it. I mean, I only saw the snippets on Instagram. I mean, I wouldn't have known anything about this movie if I hadn't saw those. But again, like since I'm a fan of Tomer Capone, I mean, it's just cool seeing him in other stuff. And Lawrence Fishburne is still, one of the best actors out there. Honestly, Casey Affleck really delivered a great performance as this character John, but it's just that he plays such like a boring, bland character, like, but it fits for the movie. It really genuinely fits for this film. So congratulations, Casey. I don't think Ben Affleck would have been good in this movie. I think it was good that he was in it. And the director, I don't really know the director of what he's done, but he did direct 1408, which is another fantastic sci-fi horror movie that I like, or more of a paranormal horror movie that I'm a fan of with John Cusack and Samuel Jackson. So, it's definitely a fantastic film, and I would suggest y'all check it out. Slingshot. It's in theaters now, but like I said, it'll probably be streaming sooner than later. So this has been Ghost in the Craig. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.